Good morning. I wanted to share a story, y'all, about Shug Jordan. If you don't know who Shug Jordan is, maybe you've heard of Jordan Hare Stadium. If you ain't heard of Jordan Hare Stadium, well, let me just tell you, he's kind of like Alabama's Bear Bryant. He's Auburn's version. Good coach, good man. Can't take nothing away from him. But anyway, several years ago, when old Shug passed away, he woke up there and realized he was standing there in front of the pearly gates, and he reached up there and knocked on them, and St. Peter opened up the gates and said, "Shug, come on in. Good to see you, brother." Welcomed him in, put his arm around him, and they went walking around the path, and he said, "Let me show you around." So they took a turn down this path, and he said, "Over here to your right, you got some players who's made it here before you, and they're looking for another pep talk from you there, coach," and everything. And they went on down the path, and he said, "Over here to your left, you got some family members. They're ready to have another family reunion with you, Shug." And Shug was thinking about all that, and he was also reflecting back on his own life and thinking about the good and the bad things he had done, and realized that he made it into the kingdom of heaven, and he was so excited and thankful and relieved. And he had like a little tired feeling coming over him. So he asked St. Peter, he said, "Before we go any further," he said, "can you show me where my place is to rest?" And St. Peter said, "Yeah, we can do that." So they took a turn off down this little dirt path and made a turn or two. And then all of a sudden there on the left was just a dirt bare yard surrounded by a faded white picket fence. Some of the pickets was missing, and most of the paint was gone off the pickets that was still left there. And there in the middle of the fence was a little gate hanging on by one rusty hinge at the top, and a little dirt path led to this one-room plank house. And that one-room plank house had a couple set of broken windows there on the front, and a little wood shingle roof there covering the front porch, held up by about 4 of them crooked posts going up there. And right there by them 2 steps that led up onto the porch there on the left side was a flagpole with a piece of material hanging down, faded orange, faded blue, tattered on the end, just hanging limp, no life. And St. Peter looked at Shug, and he said, "This is your place. This is your place to rest." And Shug looked at the place and looked at that little flag and knew that was an Auburn flag, and made him smile. And he said, "St. Peter, this will do just fine," because he knew he had made it into the kingdom of heaven. So they went on down the path, meandering back and forth, and made a turn or two. And about that time there on the left, Shug noticed some green grass with some brick columns and a fenceway with wrought ironwork. These brick columns going up about 10 foot, and it's about 10 foot apart. On top of every one of them brick columns was a little gray elephant with his trunk up in the air. Sometimes when the wind blows, you can almost hear them elephants trumpeting now. But anyway, there in the middle of that big long fence and that grass was a big old gates that opened up to a cobblestone walkway, hand-laid. Went up the side of that mountain up there, and it led up in amongst all that grass. It looked like the hole down there on the 19th green at the Masters. And up there at the top of all that pretty grass was a big old white mansion. On top of that mansion was a flagpole, and attached to it at top was a crimson-colored flag with a white A emblazoned on it. And sometimes when the sun set, you can almost see that flag now. And they was walking by it, and Shug kept looking at it, and St. Peter didn't say a word, and Shug couldn't stand it. So he reached up there and he pulled on St. Peter's robe. He said, "Please, St. Peter, I don't mean to question, but can you share with me, why is it that I get the house such as I get? And why does the bear get the house such as this?" St. Peter turned around and looked at him and said, "Shug, that ain't the bear's house. That's God's house. Roll Tide."